Zoe Williams makes an account on her own dating app to prove to an investor, Ms. Lee, that it works. But when she matches with Oliver Beckett, she starts doubting her own research. Zoe, the CEO of dating app DigiLove, gets a call from her COO, Jillian, about a disturbing article. A journalist from Modern Love magazine claims that online dating apps only work 40% of the time. Jillian knows their data seems flawed and taken from one of their competitors, but Zoe wants to discuss this when she reaches there. She also has some good news she wants to share in person. As she meets Jillian, Leo asks about her weekend and is eager to discuss his. Zoe asks him to wait for lunch and heads to her office with Jillian. Zoe explains that the journalist has taken the data for the article from their competitor Love Zoo, and is upset she clubbed all dating apps while making a claim like this. But they both are confident about their algorithm, even if they can't share their data with the journalist till they go public. For going public, they also need an investor, but Zoe has some exciting update on that. Ms. Lee, the investor they have been trying to meet for months, has finally agreed to meet them, so she can broaden her investment portfolio. After their happy dance, they need to rush because the only open spot with her is in an hour. Jillian has this pitch memorized for months and they're excited about finally getting this opportunity. Ms. Lee discusses her expectations with artist Oliver Beckett and is glad his work can be customized. She's a big fan of his botanical art since she saw a piece he commissioned for a friend of hers. When she mentions the number on his website directs to someone called Shannon Harris, he promises to fix it soon. When she leaves, he puts on his earbuds and gets to work. Jillian drops Zoe off at the gate so she can park the car and meet her inside. As Oliver is leaving the office with his work, Zoe asks him to hold the door, but he doesn't hear anything because of the loud music. She crashes into the door and falls down, and calls out to him from the logo she can see of Beckett's botanical designs. He finally notices her and starts apologizing for ruining her papers. As he helps her, she understands he didn't mean to do it. He wants to offer a plan as an apology, but she doesn't have time to take care of them. When he calls her a workaholic, she gets offended and rushes for her meeting. Jillian reaches late too because of parking issues and is worried about their ruined pitch sheets. Zoe drops them in the trash and feels confident about making the pitch without them, and knows they can email it later. They thank Ms. Lee for making time for them, but she is more curious to know about their app, which apparently predicts relationship compatibility on a percentage scale. Her assistant has downloaded the beta version, but she thinks the questionnaire seems too lengthy. But that is just one of the steps, and they also have a behavior analyst who calls the user for a video interview. Ms. Lee wonders why they think people will stick around to answer questions when everyone is so busy. Zoe is confident because their research from over 4,000 test users has shown that people are willing to spend the extra time to find true love. They also have a research team, which collects additional data online to get the most accurate match. This mostly includes social media profiles to see how people present themselves. After that, they segregate people into 26 personality types. Ms. Lee is also curious about chemistry between the couple, since that's hard to find. Zoe is proud to share that their app specializes in chemistry and focuses on matching people who aren't exactly alike, since there will be no spark. When this app starts intriguing her, Zoe asks random questions about the kind of pizza she likes or how she behaves on vacation. Based on the information, Jillian categorizes her as a Class D. From this, Zoe knows Ms. Lee loves to work and have fun equally, and that she likes watching romance movies and fly fishing. Since this seems too accurate, Zoe clarifies that some information also comes from online research on the person. Ms. Lee is impressed and suggests that if they can prove even one of their couples can hit it off in real life, she will invest in their app. For proof, she just wants the compatibility to be 90% or higher, and knows a quick meeting with the couple will be enough to convince her that it works. At their team meeting, Leo suggests hiring actors to play the couple in love, but they know Ms. Lee is too smart. Zoe also wants to accurately track the couple's relationship progress, and needs an honest report. She suggests that they all sign up for the app to see who gets the highest match. There are currently 4,222 profiles among their test users, and this is the best way for them to prove the app works. Zoe thinks anyone who's already in a relationship can be excused from this experiment. But to set an example, she signs up for the app first. She excuses herself to complete the rest of her profile and starts answering the questions. Jillian is happy about Zoe signing up for the app since she hasn't dated since they started the company 2 years ago. Zoe still hopes Jillian finds the perfect match, but they decide to head home after a long day. Zoe is searching for Beckett's botanical at home when she gets a message from Jillian about matching with someone at 52%, which is too less for their experiment. Zoe also gets a notification about a match with Oliver, whose face and profile seems unclear, but she's in for a shock when she notices they matched at 98%. She tries to hide her face when she enters the office, but they all have seen the numbers. She wonders if anyone else got a match, and the highest one they have is for Leo at 86%, which means they now rely on Zoe to prove their app works. She seems nervous about what to wear since she hasn't dated in a while. Based on where they're meeting, which is a cafe recommended by Oliver, Jillian recommends which dress she should wear. She's very nervous, but Jillian reminds her of their app's motto of taking things one step at a time. When Zoe feels reassured, Leo barges in to ask for a leave to deal with some stomach problems. Right before arriving at the cafe, when Zoe is already nervous, she spots Beckett's cart outside. When her date turns out to be the same Oliver she bumped into, they both seem surprised. He feels good about this date so he can finally apologize to her properly with a coffee. While she asks for a latte and almond croissant, Oliver wants the waiter to surprise him. He's not too picky and isn't scared about not liking whatever comes to him. When he asks about her meeting, she playfully taunts him about ruining her pitch sheets, but feels not having them gave her more confidence. She discusses what it's like to co-own DigiLove, which Oliver feels is the greatest matchmaking service in the market. He claims he doesn't usually use dating apps but signed up for this one to help a friend. She wonders what he means in his profile about being a creative gardener, and he explains there's no real definition of what he does. The way his installations turn out depend a lot on the kind of flowers and plants he's working with, and seems very passionate about it. She is impressed with the plant wall he installed in Ms. Lee's building and wonders what he likes about running his company. He loves the creative part, but admits he's very bad with the business side since he lacks organizational skills and doesn't even use the calendar app. She offers to help him with the business part, but she's even more surprised when his order arrives, and he's happy about getting Hawaiian pizza. She's confused about why they matched at 98% when they're completely opposite. She knows they have done a lot of research to get their compatibility numbers right, and feels like her algorithm must be faulty. When he wonders if it's so important for people to be similar to be compatible, she thinks at least the basic areas between two people should be common. For instance, she's very organized and hates putting fruit on her pizza since she likes nothing other than cheese pizza. He wants her to live a little but admits she's right about them being very different. Even then, they both feel the date has been very easy since it feels like they're meeting old friends. He asks if he can swing by her office as a friend so she can help him with the business side of his work. Zoe reaches office early since she's worried about the algorithm and wants to check if they missed something. Her date wasn't bad, but after checking that he's a class Y and she's a class B, she doesn't understand why their app matched the most incompatible classes. This worries Jillian too, and since there's nothing about Oliver on social media, she decides to do some traditional research by spending more time with him. Jillian agrees to ask Leo to check their algorithm again, but wonders what they will do if her theory is right. He turns up late at the office but gets her a chai tea latte, which she has never tried before. She asks him to be completely honest on his website since his brand represents him. She points out how unattractive it is because it's out of date. She wants him to understand why there's a disconnect between his website and his modern and beautiful artwork. She starts work on his About section, which just has 3 words. She needs it to be more personal and learns that he started gardening with his grandmother, which inspired him. After working on it for a while, Zoe manages to make it look a lot better, and he feels he needs to thank her more. She discusses her own problem with the app and asks if they can hang out more to figure out where the error happened. She wants to do something he loves, and he already has some ideas, but a message from Ms. Lee asking about an update makes her nervous. Leo has found out that the code is perfect, which seems weird to Jillian and Zoe since such a match is statistically unlikely. Zoe is still determined to figure out the issue in her own way and gets busy with work. Oliver picks her up and takes her to a beautiful garden space close to his studio, which makes him want to meditate. She hasn't tried meditation ever, so he asks her to close her eyes and focus on her breath. He asks her to think of a phrase, and she remembers the motto of their app, but only her grocery list comes to mind. She explains that when she and Jillian were overwhelmed with work related to the app, they told each other to take one step at a time, to make their tasks manageable. While she can't meditate with that in the moment, he promises it will change her life. They walk around the garden again and she starts asking him about different plants. Her idea of relaxing involves doing taxes since she wants to get things done, so she doesn't worry later. He claims to be a normal person who enjoys good food and sports. When she mentions she used to play basketball and soccer in high school, he's surprised since he took her for an indoor person. She has been tracking his social media and knows he has 100 new followers. But he still doesn't have any clients, so she wonders if he can do an exhibit to showcase his art. He has done something similar before, but he always ends up losing money because of hosting costs. This reminds her that she can help him get some space in her building, but he doesn't want to burden her with all that. She is still eager to help and promises to commission him if he doesn't get at least 10 new clients at the exhibit. Since she has such great ideas, he wants her to pick out the next activity since he claims to be equally invested in her experiment. Zoe thinks the exhibit will be great for promoting their app as well since it'll be an event with a lot of people. Jillian is on board, but also thinks Oliver is very lucky to have a friend like her. While she claims it's part of research for the company, she gets another match with David at 90%. She also gets a call from Ms. Lee and confidently shares that they have some options to test now. Ms. Lee feels encouraged since her trip to Shanghai has moved up and she needs to reschedule their meeting to a few days earlier than planned. Jillian thinks it's good she got another high match at just the right time and tries to set up a date for her with David. Zoe clarifies that she is only friends with Oliver, and it's her duty as CEO to explore all options. She also wants to go to the same cafe to get comparable results. As she waits waits for her date, she gets a hilarious text from Oliver about pizza. She meets David, who is a financial advisor, and orders the same thing she always does. While she thinks it's weird, he knows this is what makes them so compatible on the app. She learns he chose his career based on what seemed most logical and doesn't have much free time from work. But when he does, he likes to play some games since he's very competitive. When he asks her about pizza and mentions his favorite is cheese, Zoe knows they have a little too much in common. She takes Oliver to play baseball and turns out to be very good at it. They decide the loser will buy ice cream, but Oliver is terrible from the very start. She admits it's not a fair fight since she comes there every week, but he knows he has already lost. She wants to perform her victory dance but feels she doesn't know him well enough to do it in front of him. She's about to choose her regular vanilla flavor for ice cream, but decides to let him surprise her, only because she thinks there's minimal risk. He's excited about the exhibit and she asks him to stop by her office so they can go over their plan. When she tries the honey pistachio flavor he chose for her, she feels like it's life-changing and can't ever go back to vanilla again. She shows Oliver the space in her office and discusses where they can put up his work. She knows the place will need some work but is up for the task. He understands she's not a plant person but feels like if she's hosting such an event, she needs to know the basics. He asks her to choose a plant, but she picks the one which is too high maintenance. He recommends an aloe plant instead since it doesn't have to be watered regularly. He starts teaching her about transplanting and she tries it with her aloe, but things get messy, which Oliver thinks is the fun part. He claims he sketches his designs sometimes but thinks that planning doesn't work always if you're trying to be creative. When she wonders what is left for him to do, he claims he just needs to get the keys to his studio to bring the pieces there. When he mentions the keys are with his ex, Zoe gets uncomfortable. He explains that they started the company together, where she was the administrator, and since he has lost his set of keys, he's meeting her that day to get the master set from her. Zoe tries to leave after hearing this and almost forgets her aloe in a hurry. Zoe thinks they need to add more questions and in-depth discussions in the past relationship portion of their app. Jillian knows this is not about the app, so Zoe admits she thinks Oliver has unfinished history with his ex. She feels like if instead of the algorithm, they focus on their primary information, the app can be improved. Jillian reminds her about how thorough they are, which makes Zoe think she is overreacting. Jillian questions her as a friend if she thinks there's an issue with the app or she's just trying to escape something good. She knows her ex was a jerk but doesn't think Zoe should stop trusting everyone because of it. She also knows Zoe is the smartest person, so if she wants to ask Leo to make some changes, she's fine with it. When Zoe gets a text from David to meet again, she also gets a reminder about the follow-up meeting with Ms. Lee in a few days. Leo did some digging on her request and found that there's a minor coding error, because of which the compatibility numbers are off. They don't know by how much and he promises to work as long as possible to figure it out. She starts freaking out about the error but Jillian tries to be positive about them finding the error before their meeting with Ms. Lee. Zoe is confused about everything and is also not sure about David, since there's no spark and they're too similar. Zoe knows she needs to distract herself so she asks for Jillian's help with the exhibit. They both start painting and decorating the place to get it ready in time for the big day. Oliver is in awe of what they have done to the place and is surprised it's already been 3 weeks, since Zoe is due for her meeting with Ms. Lee soon. He forgot that apart from being a hero who helps him a lot, she also has a day job. Zoe is also happy about him getting some 1,000 new followers, which means their event will be very busy. While trying to thank her as a friend, they somehow get into a water fight with the spray and manage to drench each other till Oliver finally surrenders. He offers her a towel, which leads to a moment where they come close enough to kiss, but he gets a call he needs to take. As Zoe turns to leave, she knows he's talking to his ex because he mentions the keys to the studio and seems excited about her coming to the exhibit. Oliver welcomes Zoe on the morning of the exhibit with a glass of champagne and thinks she looks beautiful. She compliments his work but he notices something is bothering her. After waiting for a bit, people start arriving in large numbers and the place gets very busy soon. Oliver is excited to officially meet Jillian and thanks her for all the help with the setup. Jillian claims she'll do anything for Zoe, which doesn't surprise him since even he thinks she's great. When his ex Shannon enters, Leo tries to flirt with her, but she just wants to know where Oliver is. He claims to be nervous while talking to pretty women and points her in his direction. As he watches her approaching, he excuses himself, but asks Jillian to help herself with any plants she likes. Oliver thanks Shannon for coming and asks if she gave any thought to what they spoke about. She delivers him the signed papers he asked for, and he thanks her for selling the company back to him. Shannon is happy to help since she always felt it was his business. As he keeps looking over at Zoe, Shannon wonders when he'll tell her that he likes her. Oliver claims they're just friends, since they're complete opposites. That seems rubbish to her, since she knows opposites attract. She also feels that since Zoe did so much work to help him, she might reciprocate the feelings. He thanks her for everything and asks her to enjoy the exhibit. Oliver's expectations have been exceeded since he managed to get 24 new clients. He still asks if Zoe can commission him so he gets another reason to hang out with her. He confesses that he likes her a lot despite knowing how different they are. In fact, their differences only make it more interesting. He feels the more time he spends with her, the more appreciation he has for how accurate the app is. Zoe admits that the numbers for their compatibility prediction are off. When she mentions improving the relationship history questions, he wonders if she's worried about Shannon and clarifies that there's nothing between them. Zoe claims she initially thought Shannon was the issue, but now she's more worried about the numbers being off. She thinks he's a great guy, but she trusts the numbers more. She also thinks she doesn't like him as more than a friend. He refuses to believe that since he likes her despite the numbers, but she apologizes for hurting his feelings and leaves. Jillian comes over to check on her with the croissant and they discuss the plant Oliver gave her. Zoe feels like a failure because of the app and what happened with Oliver, but Jillian reminds her how proud she is because Zoe has grown a lot in the past few weeks. As far as their meeting is concerned, Zoe thinks they should be honest with Ms. Lee. Jillian knows they might never get a chance like this again and suggests if they can bring Leo and his match at 86%. Zoe has considered it too, but she knows even his numbers might be off if hers are. Jillian is still trying to brainstorm and wonders if her compatibility with David could be higher since they're so similar. Zoe feels a lot of pressure but promises to explore things with David for their app. The next morning, Oliver finally tries a croissant and likes it, and feels like sharing this with Zoe. Before her date with David, Zoe tries to mediate like Oliver taught her, but she keeps thinking about croissant. She apologizes to David for being too busy to reply earlier, but he understands and thinks good things are worth fighting for her. When she asks if cheese is the best pizza there, he orders 2 cheese slices. But Zoe suddenly decides to try Hawaiian pizza, which seems very odd to David since he hates that. As they walk to their seats, he discusses his work and asks about hers. She informs him about the error with the compatibility numbers, which reminds David that he matched with someone else at 83%, but decided to go with the odds. When Zoe tries the pizza, she still thinks it's horrible. David agrees and feels like she should have gone with cheese since it's safe and good. Zoe gets an epiphany and asks him for the time. She apologizes for leaving and clarifies that there's nothing between them. She suggests he can give his 83% match a chance, who might make him want to order fruit on his pizza. Jillian has already reached for the meeting with Ms. Lee when Zoe calls her about a change of plans and asks her to stall Ms. Lee for a few extra minutes. While Jillian tries to distract Ms. Lee with random information, Zoe runs towards the office and finds Oliver. She knew about his location from his social media and promises to give him a lesson on safety later. She is excited because she tried Hawaiian pizza and wanted him to know about it. Ms. Lee is losing her patience and directly asks if Zoe will join them. She doesn't like tardiness, but Jillian explains she had to do something important on the way. Ms. Lee decides to reschedule the meeting and feels like they should have had the decency to not waste her time. Zoe wants Oliver to know she is the kind of person who likes plain cheese and vanilla, but since she met him, everything changed. She confesses that she tried to spend more time with him not because of research, but because she was having a lot of fun. Even now, she doesn't care about the numbers because she wants to be with him. As they finally kiss, Ms. Lee interrupts them and wonders if they're the happy couple Zoe was going to bring to her. Jillian also finds them at the right time and is relieved to see Zoe. She wants to be honest with Ms. Lee, so she explains the full story about how weird it felt when she matched with Oliver at 98%, since they're very different. She also confesses about the coding error exactly when Jillian gets a text from Leo. When Zoe mentions the numbers are off, Jillian clarifies that according to an update, their code has been rounding down the percentage. It's only decimally off, which means Oliver and Zoe are 99% compatible. Zoe apologizes for being late for the meeting but knows she had to fix things with Oliver first. Instead of being annoyed that Zoe prioritized a romantic relationship over her investment, Ms. Lee congratulates them about getting her as an investor. She knows their pitch was messy but she wanted to see a happy couple, and she can tell there's true love between Zoe and Oliver. She asks them to get the app ready for public launch in a few months when she's back from Shanghai. Oliver knows it's finally time for the victory dance, which they all do. 1 year later, their app gets a positive article from the same journalist who claimed dating apps don't work. Leo also has an update about them surpassing their monthly subscriber goal. Oliver toasts to all of them for their hard work and turns to Zoe to admit how happy he feels about the app bringing them together. Since he knows she's the one and feels lucky to have her, he asks her to marry him, and she says yes.